down, we'll never come down. When the sun comes up, we'll be feeling how we do right now. My heart's on fire, coming down to the wire. While the world sleeps, we'll keep burning brighter and brighter.
They don't feast little boys.
The cows are still milking really well, averaging 1.9 kilos per day, which we are very happy with. It is our goal every year to have a persistent lactation curve. We supply a dairy factory called Open Country, and their payment system is geared to encourage more shoulder milk or off-peak milk. At the beginning of the season, we were given the option of sticking with the normal Open Country payment or Fonterra plus 10 cents. We decided to stick with the normal Open Country payment because you get paid more quickly, but that may have been a mistake. It's hard to say how the rest of the season will play out in terms of milk price. For us, it largely depends on how much milk we are still sending from March through until the end of May. But regardless, this is gearing up to be the highest milk price of our farming careers.
Just was at the bottom.
It is fun to experience a high milk price. The lowest I ever experienced was $3.90 as a 50-50 share milker. Ironically, that was my best year as a farmer, but maybe my worst year as a person. Farming to survive is a special skill set, and I cut, trimmed, slashed and killed expenses, and in the process had a come to Jesus moment on how wasteful I had become. And that is a lesson that has served me well to this day. During that period, Fonterra had downgraded the milk price since the beginning of the season, and us farmers essentially had to pay back money Fonterra had already paid us. It was a bizarre time. I also had to sell my first herd of cows that year because my partner and I separated. It was a terrible time to sell cows, and when all is said and done, the bankers still need to be paid. Farming can be brutal in that regard, but the lows build character and provide a reference point that makes the highs all the more enjoyable.
We had a delivery this morning. 1 unit load of lime. So that's the next job to do. Get that on as quickly as possible.
We had been wanting to cut our last lot of hay for several days, but there had been afternoon heat showers around the place that had made it a bit risky. For the past week or so, we've been getting scorching hot mornings, and in the afternoon, rain systems start brewing. They are fickle systems, and we've missed them all. Just yesterday, 2 minutes east of us got 16 mils. Some places in Taranaki got about 30 mils. We missed it completely. But we went to the beach in Iwakura earlier this week, and it was like a desert that side of the mountain. Seems like Taranaki is quite a mixed bag, although central Taranaki is faring pretty well and having a reasonable summer. 20 years ago, long before the advent of regenerative agriculture, my dad was experimenting with different pasture mixes and herbal layers to provide the cows with greater grazing variety. The intention was to encourage more mineral diversity through different species that, through different root structures, could unlock various minerals within the soils that the cows could benefit from. Chicory was a relatively new concept back then. Now it is quite a common summer crop around New Zealand. Dad planted a lot of chicory around the farm, and I'd like to see more of it, but it is not very persistent in a pasture sward. I think it needs to be let to go to seed if it is to have any hope of regenerating itself, but on a normal grazing rotation it doesn't get the chance to seed like this. It pops up occasionally in the hay paddocks. Then when we feed the hay out, it spreads a few chicory seeds around the farm.
When I was milking the cows this morning, I thought the cows were more flighty than usual, and our cows are generally pretty calm at milking time, but yeah, I thought that they were like woman possessed this morning, and it made me wonder if perhaps the facial eczema spores are starting to increase. The local vet group do a spore count on specific farms around the area, around Taranaki, and at the moment they're relatively low. You have to go around the outside.
This is how I do it.
That's how you do it.
If you feed the right levels, then it helps the cows. If you feed them too much, then it's poison. It's getting poisonous.
Yeah.
See?
Usually when it comes to treating facial eczema, we put all of our zinc through the in-shed feeding system. It is a precise way of administering zinc. The trouble is that there are still a few submissive cows that don't eat the meal mix. That makes them quite vulnerable if the spore count is to spike. We are going to reduce the zinc in the in-shed feeding and try adding zinc to a bale with molasses and see if it helps the cows that don't eat the meal. If you're not familiar with facial eczema, it is a cattle disease caused by a fungus that lives in pasture. This fungus produces a toxic spore that when ingested can cause liver damage. The liver is then unable to remove chlorophyll that builds up in the bloodstream, and affected cows become very photosensitive. In severe cases they lose their skin and it can be fatal. It's quite awful. Zinc reduces the toxicity of the fungus because it binds to the toxic spore and is excreted before it can attack the liver and bile duct.